I think what happened, Mr. Patel, is that suddenly you discovered that Donald Trump's name was all over these files, and you started a giant cover-up. So you are under oath, Mr. Patel. You just testified to Mr. Swalwell that you did not speak to the president about the Epstein files. To your knowledge, did Attorney General Pam Bondi speak to the president about what was in the Epstein files?
Questions recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Patel, before you joined the FBI, you had very strong opinions about what the FBI was hiding regarding Jeffrey Epstein. In a September 2023 interview with Glenn Beck, you said the Black Book is under the, quote, direct control of the director of the FBI. In December 2023, you said, let us know who the pedophiles are. Even for a short time after becoming FBI director, in February of 2025, you tweeted, quote, there will be no cover-ups, no missing documents, no stone left unturned. In June, you told Joe Rogan, quote, we've reviewed all the information, we're going to give you every single thing we have and can. But then suddenly in July, everything changed. You and Attorney General Pam Bondi released one video and said that there was nothing more to see. Your July memo says you uncovered more than 300 gigabytes of data and physical evidence, but that you had decided no further disclosure would be appropriate or warranted. That is a quote. I think what happened, Mr. Patel, is that suddenly you discovered that Donald Trump's name was all over these files, and you started a giant cover-up. So you are under oath, Mr. Patel. You just testified to Mr. Swalwell that you did not speak to the president about the Epstein files. To your knowledge, did Attorney General Pam Bondi speak to the president about what was in the Epstein files?
I can't speak for Attorney General Pam Bondi.
So to your knowledge, you don't have any information. The question was, do you have any knowledge? Do you have any knowledge?
I can't speak.
You are refusing to answer the question, so let me tell you that the Wall Street Journal reported that in May, Bondi told Trump that he was in the Epstein files, and at the same meeting said that the DOJ did not plan to release the files. Yesterday, you testified to Senator Kennedy that there was, quote, no credible information that Epstein trafficked girls to anyone else, and that you have, quote, continuously and publicly asked the public to come forward with more information, and we'll look into it. Today, in response to Mr. Massey's question, you appear to say that the survivors were not credible. These are survivors.
That's not at all what I said.
Okay, great. I'm going to ask you this in a second, but let me tell you about the survivors, and let's bring them up here into the room. These are women who came to the Hill and testified that they were groomed and raped at the age of 14 and 16 years old, and they called to meet with the president and to meet with the FBI and to have people investigate their claims. Some of them have never testified before. If you are so interested in getting the public to submit any information, why have you not met with them? You said you haven't met with them. Have you met with them? I'll give you one more chance.
My job as the FBI director is to invite all investigative leads. Is the answer yes or no
to whether or not you met with these women who were sexually abused and raped?
Any insinuation by you or any people on your side that I am not manhunting child predators and sex traffickers, just look at the stats. And you talk about cover-ups, man.
Mr. Chairman,
you talk about cover-ups.
And I will take as much time as I
Where
want.
were you during the Obama and Biden administrations when these so-called cover-ups were going on? Why did anyone in those administrations talk to any of these purported witnesses? I have welcomed every single person to provide credible information.
Time belongs to the gentlelady from Washington.
And I'm going to take another couple of minutes.
When you accuse the witness of something, he's allowed to respond. That's how it works.
Listen, he didn't even. Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, you have always been fair, but this is not fair. No, this is my time, and he said that the witnesses were not credible.
Seconds of time.
I'm going to get an additional minute of time because that's how much time he took.
You won't get a minute. You'll get some seconds. What we think is under 5 minutes. You don't get to demand how much time you get. That's not how it works.
Mr. Patel, are the victims of the Jeffrey Epstein horrific trafficking ring, are they credible?
Any person with information about ongoing sexual trafficking.
I'm asking you if they're credible.
Ma'am, I'm commenting on the evidence we have. We have routinely asked for people to come forward with more evidence, and we will look at it. And the evidence that we have was the same evidence that the Biden and Obama Justice Departments had. And they determined, not me, they determined that that information was not credible.
Mr. Chairman, he's not letting me even ask my questions.
You ask the questions, he gives an answer. You may not like what he says, but that doesn't mean you get to interrupt him.
He's not answering my question.
Mr. Chairman, could we restore the gentlelady 45 seconds so she can complete her question?
We'll give her additional 30 seconds, which is what I said earlier.
I'm going to keep taking my time because
you'll take the time that you get.
You are not answering the question. The question is,
you just don't like the answer.
Are these women credible? It's a yes or no answer.
I have answered the question.
Well, what is the answer?
telling you, I'm the only FBI director that has welcomed new information in this case. This administration is the only one that has welcomed any new information in this case.
Is there a yes or no to
present
whether the
new credible
victims are
information. present new
Are
information.
the victims credible or not?
I'll tell you what happened in the last Trump administration.
Are they credible or not? You can't even
Victims
say.
credibly came forward, and you know what happened? President Trump authorized the indictments of Jeffrey
Trump
Epstein.
called them
Not Biden,
a hoax.
not Obama.
President Trump
no one
called
else.
the entire thing a Democratic hoax. So I would like to ask
the gentlelady's time has expired. I gave her the additional 45 seconds she requested. The gentlelady yields back. The gentleman from New Jersey is recognized for his 5 minutes.
If you would meet with the women who were sexually abused and raped and groomed at the ages of 14 and 16 years old. Are you going to cover up? Are you going to continue to cover up for the rich and powerful men, including those that might be on this committee?
I can yell too, Mr. Chairman. I don't want to yell above this.
The time belongs to the gentleman from New Jersey. I appreciate the gentlelady yielding back.
Mr. Patel?
Go ahead.
Will you allow them to testify to you, Mr. Patel?
Mr. Patel, thank you for being here. I know it's been an interesting and difficult 2 days. And I wasn't going to talk about the Epstein thing because there's a lot of other issues that affect the FBI, but I have to say a few words. I've sat.
When this hearing reached its boiling point, the room fell into that rare kind of silence where every breath feels historic. It happened the moment Representative Pramila Jayapal pressed Kash Patel with a direct accusation that after months of public promises, televised assurances, and declarations that no stone would be left unturned, the commitment to full disclosure suddenly vanished. One video released, hundreds of gigabytes locked away, and a new narrative emerging from the very people who once demanded transparency. Jayapal didn't hold back. She pointed to the shift in tone, the stalled disclosures, and the explosive claim that the files implicated powerful individuals, perhaps even a former president. That single moment, captured in real time, revealed a deeper divide inside American institutions. A struggle over truth, credibility, and whether the public ever truly receives the whole story. And then the hearing detonated. Voices clashed. Members shouted over one another. Time clocks were ignored. The chairman pleaded for order as the confrontation spiraled past normal congressional boundaries. When Jayapal brought forward the testimony of women who said they had been harmed as teens, the tension reached its peak. She demanded simple answers, one-word answers, yes or no. Were the accounts credible? Had Patel met with them? And if transparency truly was the mission, why had these voices been left unheard? Patel responded with force of his own, invoking statistics, past administrations, and the failures he believed had been ignored for years. What followed wasn't just disagreement, it was the sound of two entirely different worldviews smashing into each other. A clash over what accountability looks like. A clash over whose claims deserve attention. A clash over who controls the narrative around one of the most infamous cases in modern American memory. What happened in that room was more than political theater. It was a reflection of a deeper fracture, one that runs through law enforcement, through Congress, and through the very foundation of public trust. For years, Americans have heard promises of transparency from leaders in both parties. They've heard commitments to release records, to make evidence public, to ensure that no one is above scrutiny. But the reality, again and again, has been delays, denials, closed-door decisions, and explanations that never fully satisfy. When Jayapal read Patel's own words back to him, pledges he made on Glenn Beck's show, on Joe Rogan's podcast, on Twitter, she was reminding the country how quickly the tone can change when the stakes rise. That is the core of the confrontation. Not just what is being asked, but why the answers suddenly became harder to obtain. And when members began shouting over each other, when Patel and Jayapal spoke at the same time, when the chairman wrestled to maintain order, the hearing transformed from inquiry to spectacle. But beneath the spectacle was a truth many Americans feel in their bones. When institutions are forced to answer uncomfortable questions, they resist. They deflect. They stall. They point to the sins of past administrations. They argue process, they argue credibility, they argue everything except the simple question that sits at the center of public concern. Will the truth ever be fully revealed? Jayapal's frustration was unmistakable. Patel's defensiveness was unmistakable. The committee's unraveling was unmistakable. And through it all, the viewer is left wondering how many moments like this have been buried under polite political language. How many times has the system inched up to the line of transparency only to pull back at the final moment? How many crucial revelations will never see daylight because someone, somewhere, believes that the public doesn't need to know? This moment matters because it exposes the tension between power and accountability. It reveals how easily investigations can become political battlegrounds rather than pathways to truth. It shows how a system that was designed to protect the innocent and expose the guilty can falter when those with influence stand in the shadows behind it. But it also shows something else, something often forgotten in the chaos of modern politics. Real people still expect answers. Real people still believe the truth should rise above party lines. Real people still hold on to the hope that the institutions created to protect them are capable of doing just that. And when those expectations collide with the realities of Washington, moments like this hearing are born, raw, unscripted, and unavoidably revealing. As the gavel finally struck and the shouting quieted, one fact lingered in the air. The American public deserves more than half answers. They deserve more than political detours. They deserve more than investigations that stop just short of daylight. The truth, whatever it may be, whoever it may involve, must not be filtered by political convenience, because America's strength has never come from secrecy. It has come from courage, the courage to confront, the courage to investigate, the courage to demand better from those in power. And that courage belongs not to Congress, not to directors, not to officials, but to the people watching right now, the people who refuse to accept silence where accountability is owed. So as this hearing ends, remember this moment. Remember the voices raised, the questions unanswered, the promises repeated again and again. Remember what transparency should look like, and what happens when the system falls short. And remember this above all, democracy only works when the public insists on seeing the full picture. If you believe in that mission, if you believe that truth is worth fighting for, then stand with us. Subscribe to Liberty Report USA, support independent oversight, and stay with us as we continue to follow every question, every clash, and every moment where the American people deserve answers.